Chapter 10. Emma. She was born in the rain, just as he remembered. The map had said autumn, and autumn came, and on a night in late October the Seattle sky opened and poured, and Susan's water broke between one breath and the next, and the small, ordered world of the Cole apartment dissolved into the beautiful chaos of a baby arriving. David moved through it big and clumsy and luminous with nerves, dropping the car keys twice, forgetting the bag, remembering it, forgetting his own coat. A neighbor took Ethan. And Ethan, 4 years old, stood at the neighbor's window with his forehead against the cold glass, and watched his parents' taillights blur away into the rain, and waited. He was good at waiting. He had been waiting for 2 years. But this waiting was different, and it caught him off guard with its weight. Because the person coming tonight was not a date on a map or a tragedy to be averted. She was Emma. And of all the people Ethan Cole had failed in his first gray life, he had failed Emma the longest and the worst, not through any single act, but through the simple arithmetic of grief. Their father had died when she was 3. Their mother had been hollowed out by the work of surviving. And Ethan, 7 and then 17 and then 30, lost in his own version of the same loss, had never quite managed to be for his little sister what their father would have been. He had loved her badly, distractedly from inside his own dark, and then the tide had come and taken her too, somewhere in the long unraveling, and he had not even been there for that. She was coming back tonight, brand new, with none of it on her. Ethan stood at the window in the dark and the rain and made himself a steady, quiet space to hold what he was feeling, because 4-year-olds did not feel this, and he could not afford to be seen feeling it. The night was very long. He did not sleep. The neighbor put him down on a strange couch under a strange blanket, and he lay there in the dark listening to the rain and the unfamiliar tick of someone else's clock, and he thought about all of it. The first life and the second, the failure and the second chance, the strange grace of being given back not just his father but his sister, the whole family, the whole green, ordinary world he had grieved. It was so much. It was more than a man deserved, more than the cosmos had any reason to hand him, and the not knowing why of it pressed against him in the dark, the way the vast attention had pressed against him in the cold place without stars. Again the voice had said, "Why? Why him? Why this?" He set the why down as always. But it was getting heavier to set down. One day, he knew, he would have to pick it up and look at it. Not tonight. Tonight there was only the rain and the waiting, and a phone that finally rang in the small hours, and the neighbor's soft, glad voice in the next room, and then her face in the doorway, smiling. "Ethan. Honey. You've got a baby sister." A sister. Of course. He had known. But knowing was nothing next to the hearing of it, and Ethan lay on the strange couch in the dark and felt his throat close around 2 lifetimes at once. They let him hold her 2 days later, sitting carefully in the big chair with David's arm around him for support, and the whole weight of the new world laid in his lap. Emma Cole was very small and very red and very furious about being born, and she screwed up her tiny face and worked her tiny fists and did not care in the slightest who was holding her or what either of his lives had cost. She was just herself, brand new, with the whole unwritten future in front of her. A future Ethan was, even now, even tonight, bending away from the gray ruin. It had been the first time toward something he could not yet see, but meant with everything in him to make good. He looked down at her small, outraged face, and the man inside the boy did not perform anything at all. "Hello," he thought. "Hello. It's me. You won't remember this, and I can never tell you, but I know you. I knew you grown. I knew you gone. And I'm not going to let any of it happen the way it happened. Not Dad. Not Mom. Not the tide. Not you. Especially not you." Emma stopped crying. It was probably nothing, a hiccup in a newborn storm, a coincidence of timing. But for one strange, still moment she went quiet in his lap and seemed to look up at him out of her unfocused new eyes, and Ethan felt, faint and cold and certain at the center of his chest, the seed stir, the same answering stir it gave whenever he bent the world, as though it too recognized that something had just been decided. "Look at that," David murmured above them, his big hand warm on Ethan's shoulder, his voice thick. "She likes you. She stopped crying for you, bud. Would you look at that?" "I've got her," Ethan said quietly, the same words his father had said to him, a lifetime and 2 years ago, in the canvas coat that smelled of pine. "I've got her, Dad." And he meant it more than he had ever meant anything, in either life. That night the last name went onto the ledger. He had carried it for years now, the private list of the people he had come back to save, David first and always, then Susan, then a boy named Marcus he had not yet met. Now he added the fourth, and though she was the smallest and the newest and the most helpless of all of them, Ethan knew, lying in his own bed at last with the rain finally easing outside, that she had quietly become the center. Everything he was building, the trust banked grain by grain, the cold seed grown breath by patient breath, the long impossible road toward a torn sky 31 years away, all of it had been for his father at the start. It was still for his father. But it was for Emma now too, in a way that went deeper than strategy, deeper than grief, down into the place where the man inside the boy kept the few warm things he refused to spend. "All of you," he promised the dark. "I'm keeping all of you. Whatever it takes. However far I have to climb." The cold seed pulsed once in his chest, soft and deep, and was still. 3 weeks later, his sister already a fixed warm fact of the household, Ethan went back to the long, quiet work of the nights, but he reached for the seed now with a new and fiercer patience, because the ledger was complete at last, and the clock, as always, was running.